I woke up in a hospital bed wearing a paper gown with an IV in my arm and no idea what time it was. That part was normal. I'd had knee surgery that morning, routine outpatient procedure. 2 hours under general anesthetic, supposed to be home by 3. I remembered anesthesiologist telling me to count backward from 10. I remember getting to 7. What I didn't remember was how it got dark outside. The room was dim, the overhead lights were off. Emergency strip lighting ran along the floor near the baseboard, pale green, the kind that only kicks on when the main power fails. The IV monitor beside me was dark. The call button panel above the bed was dark. Everything that required power to run was off, and the only sounds were the emergency lighting, failed electricity hum, and something else. Something from the hallway outside my half-open door that I couldn't identify and didn't like. I lay still and listened. Footsteps, slow ones, not the purposeful rhythm of a nurse on a round. Something that shuffled, stopped. It shuffled again, with a wet quality to the breathing that came with it. I pulled the IV from my arm, pressed my thumb over the puncture, and sat up. The clock on the wall said 11:40. I'd gone under at 10 in the morning. That was nearly 14 hours ago. I needed to understand what was outside that door before I went anywhere near it. My phone was in the bedside drawer with my wallet and my clothes. I powered it on under the sheet to keep the screen light from showing through the door gap. 41 missed calls, texts from my wife, my brother, my office. I didn't read them in order. I scanned for the most recent ones. My brother, 6 hours ago. Do not leave the hospital. Lock your door. Do not open it for anyone who doesn't answer you clearly. This is serious. My wife, 4 hours ago. I'm at Mom's. Kids are here. We are safe. Please tell me you're okay. The news is saying the hospital is. Just please lock your door. My wife, 2 hours ago. Still trying to reach you. Praying. My wife, 40 minutes ago. Douglas, if you can read this, we love you. I put the phone in the gown's single useless pocket. It didn't fit. I held it instead. The shuffling in the hallway had moved further away. I got up, tested the knee, tender, slightly swollen, functional, and crossed to the door in bare feet on cold linoleum. I pressed my back against the wall beside it and looked through the gap. The hallway was dark except for the same green floor strips. A nurse's station sat empty 30 feet away, chairs pushed back, a coffee cup on its side, liquid dried on the desk. Further down, near the elevator bank, something moved. It had been a person. I could tell that much. It wore scrubs. It moved away from me, toward the far end of the hall, with its head tilted at an angle that heads don't tilt at. I counted 4 more before it reached the end of the corridor, all moving away, all slow. I had one direction, the stairwell, which was 20 feet to my left. Bare feet on linoleum are quieter than shoes. That was one advantage I had, and I held on to it. I went through the door low and moved left flat to the wall, not running. Running made noise. Running made the need hurt in a way that would make noise. I moved in the spaces between the shuffling things, timed against their movement, and reached the stairwell door in 11 seconds that felt like 11 minutes. The stairwell was empty. 4 floors down to the ground level exit. I started moving. Second floor landing, I heard it before I saw it. A sound from below, from the first floor. A crowd sound that had no business being inside a stairwell at midnight. I stopped on the second floor landing and looked down to the gap in the railing. The ground floor lobby was full of them. Not the slow drifting ones from the hallway. These were packed together, compressed into the lobby space, moving against each other in a mass that had no exit because the main entrance doors had been secured, locked from the outside, a chain visible through the glass. And the mass was pushing against the glass with a continuous, dull pressure that had already cracked one panel and a long diagonal fracture. 30, maybe more, between me and the exit. I stood on the second floor landing and thought about it. There was a loading dock. Every hospital had one. Ground level, back of the building, used for supply deliveries and body transport. I had been brought in through the emergency entrance on the east side. Loading dock would be in the west or south. I needed a different way down that didn't end in that lobby. I went up one flight. Third floor was the oncology ward. The hallway was quieter than recovery. Fewer of them, more spread out. 3 that I could see, all moving away. I went right toward the far end of the floor, looking for a service corridor. Hospitals run on service infrastructure, laundry, supplies, dietary, and service corridors connect everything without going through public areas. I found the door behind the nursing station, unmarked, heavy, the kind that swings both ways. I pushed through into a concrete utility corridor, bare bulbs on emergency power, a wheeled laundry cart parked against the wall. The laundry cart had scrubs in it, clean ones, and folded. I pulled on a set over the gown. They were large. They stayed on, and found a pair of rubbered sole staff clogs in a size too big that I put on anyway because bare feet had limits and I was approaching them. The corridor ran south. I followed it. The service elevator was dead. The freight stairs at the end of the corridor were not. I went down 2 flights into a concrete sublevel that smelled of industrial detergent and old food. The dietary department was down here, a commercial chick kitchen, dark and silent, stainless steel, surfaces catching the emergency lighting. I moved through it without touching anything, following the loading dock signs, stenciled on the walls in faded paint. The loading dock door was heavy rolled up, manually operated. The chain was on my side. I stood in front of it and listened for 30 seconds. Nothing from the other side that I could distinguish from city noise. Distant, ambient, the sounds of a city that had stopped working the way cities were supposed to work. I lifted the chain off the bracket and raised the door 18 inches, looked out at ground level. The loading area was a concrete apron behind the building, a parking area for delivery trucks, a dumpster bay to the left. One of them stood near the dumpster, its back to me, not moving. Beyond the apron was a chain-link fence, and beyond the fence was a side street. The side street had cars on it, but not many of them. It had 3 more figures visible, spread out, not clustered. Manageable, maybe. I looked at one by the dumpster. It hadn't moved, hadn't heard the door. I had 18 inches of clearance between the bottom of the roll-up and the concrete, enough to slide through flat on my back. I lay down on the cold floor of the loading dock, phone held against my chest, and went under the door on my elbows and heels. The concrete was freezing. The oversized clog scraped once and I stopped breathing. The thing by the dumpster didn't turn. I got to my feet on the other side, moved to the fence, found the gap where the chain link had been cut and folded back. Old gap, rusted edges, someone's shortcut that predated all this by years, and went through it sideways. A side street, open air. The city above me was wrong in every direction. Too dark, too quiet. Smoke somewhere to the north, catching the light from whatever was burning. I had my phone. I had scrubs 2 sizes too large. I had clogs that slapped against the ground if I wasn't careful. My wife was at her mother's house, 11 miles. I pulled up the map, checked the route before the data cut out, memorized what I could. Then I started walking.